Okay, Max, I want you to get back into what you were covering there. Of economic expert Max Keiser, but hold on. But before you get back into it, I want to be sure and kind of shift gears in the next segment for listeners to know that I want to talk about the on-the-ground effects of this, what it's going to start looking like on Main Street. It's already bleak out there as this deteriorates, and what you politically see in your crystal ball in the future coming out of this, not just in the U.S., but globally. You're in Europe. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, getting back to what we were saying before the break and what this is going to mean, to the day-to-day reality. During the Bush years, the way that the U.S. was supporting the dollar was they would just, invade countries. Certainly under when Saddam Hussein started trading his oil in euros, that was one of the reasons that, shortly thereafter you saw shock and awe and Bush invading Iraq. In Iran, they also were talking about trading their oil in euros, and of course the belligerence toward Iran heated up. And it was interesting that comments were made in the speech this week by Obama. He mentioned that the 1953 coup in Iran was in part facilitated by America's CIA, which is something that another one of your guests, John Perkins, the economic hitman, has been talking about in details in his book. So it's interesting that these things are coming to light, and it's not on the Alex Jones show, but it's coming from a major addresses from the President of the United States. So the things that you've been talking about that have really been in the shadows are now starting to come to light. Now, going forward, since so much is coming to light because of the work of people like yourself, these banks are going to have to rely more on financial engineering and financial fraud, financial skullduggery, and accounting fraud. Just to get back to the article I was quoting a moment ago about Citigroup, they reported they got $346 billion of capital from the government. They went on, which accounted for 25% of their quarterly net income, thanks to a rule change in their accounting, and then another $2.7 billion before taxes came from an accounting rule that lets the company record income when the value of its own debt fails. So the company is trading with itself. And
they're buying their own debt and calling it a profit, like Treasury and Federal Reserve selling each other debt. This is the snake eating its tail situation. So they're in flames, calling it record profit in delusion, with idiots buying the stock in the stock market just as delusional.
It's like an arsonist getting paid in charcoal.
That's funny.
So these guys are trading with themselves. So they're ramping up the accounting fraud because the era of the Bush era, Bush was very simple. He's a very simple program. To defend the dollar, we're going to go invade a country and kill a lot of people. But that era is over. Now we're entering an era of more of this accounting fraud and financial engineering. So what that means to the people on the street, people in their day-to-day lives, is that you're going to see more volatility. You're going to see the prices of things on various markets around the world
up and down
are going to become more volatile. So the
boing,
stock
boing,
market,
boing, boing.
I'm sorry?
Pogo sticking.
Yeah, more of this pogo stick action. So the stock market, bond market, precious metal markets, commodity markets, you're going to see a lot more what you would call beta, a lot more volatility, a lot more action, a lot more ups and downs, and more of a roller coaster ride, which of course is great if you're on the inside, like a Goldman Sachs banker, or someone who's on the inside of Wall Street, who knows has experience, and they can profit from this volatility. But for most people, it's scary, and they're on this roller coaster of volatility with prices of the markets are going up and down in hugely exaggerated ways.
And that's going to kill Main Street, is it not? That's going to kill Main Street further.
Well, yeah, it'll keep people. It will force people in the lowest possible return investments because they are perceived as safe. But, of course, those investments are merely the feeder funds for the big profitable trades that are done on Wall Street. So
they're going to buy government bonds.
Quarantined, if you will. Their investments are going to be in these making 0.5%. Meanwhile, inflation will be raging, but they'll be so frightened to put any capital to work in something that might benefit it from inflation, like precious metals or commodities, because the volatility will be so outrageous. So they're going to be cowering in the corner with their 0.5% or 1% CD. And meanwhile, the professionals on Wall Street are going to be racking up 20, 30, 40% annual gains by gaming the system and taking advantage of this incredible
because that's where the money is when things are going up and down, because they're engineering it. They know how to place the bets because the dice are totally loaded. Long segment coming up with Max Keiser and your calls. Max, tell us more about what you see in the future politically when we get back. Good old Max Keiser. MaxKeiser.com is our guest. We're going back to him in just a moment. I have some big breaking news. And it's not just that H.R. 1207 to audit the private criminal Federal Reserve. That is the shadow government. That is the problem. I mean, if they get 22 more sponsors, they can pass it. I mean, this is a done deal if we just believe and get behind it. And so there's some breaking news. The Federal Reserve is striking back. We'll break this news. This just came out in the last few minutes. I want to get Kurt Nimmo or Steve Watson or both to do a Friday report on this, because this is, the good news is we blew up the Death Star. We're very close to it. The bad news is the Empire striking back. So we'll get Max Keiser's take on this breaking news in one moment. I do want to tell you about some of our sponsors that have made today's show possible. One of them is eFoodsDirect.com. This is the place to get storable foods. And in this crazy, depression-ridden, insane world, I believe in storable foods. I bought a lot of storable foods over the years as a hedge against, stage terror, World War III, and depression. And I didn't like a lot of it. I got it had MSG or fillers. Not this stuff. Super high quality, non-GMO, non-hybrid, eFoodsDirect.com. They've got 3-day supplies, month supplies, year supplies, 5-year supplies. It lasts more than 10 years in climate control, 10 years in your garage or attic. That's where I got mine. 1-800-409-5633. 1-800-409-5633 or eFoodsDirect.com. Don't procrastinate. Don't suck your thumb. Don't wait. Get prepared today. And on the same line of getting prepared, ladies and gentlemen, AcolaBlue.com is the premier atmospheric water generator. Grabs the moisture right out of the air, 7.5 gallons a day with their smaller unit. Very affordable, then passes it through 7 filters, including carbon and reverse osmosis, neutral pH, no pollutants or toxins. Absolutely the best water you've ever had. Literally, drink it. 800-691-6043, 800-691-6043, or AcolaBlue.com. How do you spell that? ECOLO Blue.com. AcolaBlue.com, or banners up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Okay, here is the breaking news, and we'll get Max Keiser's take on this. This just came out in the last 30 minutes. Earlier today, it came out there's 190 co-sponsors to audit the private Fed. People go, abolish it first. Ron Paul's a traitor. Ron Paul has a bill to abolish the private Federal Reserve. But he figured out a few years ago the best way to do it is to demand an audit, which everybody wants to know. The public, Congress always asks Bernanke, where's the money? He laughs at him and says, I'm above the law. Greenspan goes on Lair NewsHour and says it. It's in the Obama deception, saying they're above the law. So this is something that has a chance to pass. See, if we can get the door open off the castle, we can go in and throw the bums out. But we got to blow the door off the hinges first. That's what this is. Okay, so this is reality. We're moving forward. We're having a shot at this, at winning. But what does the Federal Reserve do? Well, I want to tell you. The Fed has sent out tens of thousands of bureaucrats. They are paying school teachers and professors from every major university I know of. Right here in Texas, I see it in the news. They pay the universities grants and pay thousands of dollars a year to bring the professors in to pay them to go out and teach the Federal Reserve's good, the bailout's good, the banker takeover is good, because they're engaged in a coup through Northcom, but not just of the U.S., of the world. They admit it's a new bank of the world run by them. We pay carbon taxes to. So, Fed intends to hire lobbyists and campaign to buttress its image. Not only do they have these armies of lobbyists they're paying on the grassroots, they now are saying in Bloomberg, they're going to lobby to fix their image in Congress. Bull. You read deeper, it's to lobby against being audited in H.R. 1207. They've never been audited. They have a fake audit where they audit the chairs and pencils, but not where the money goes. And Obama promised every dime of the bailout and every dime of the stimulus would be accounted for. Now it's a state secret. So the people that ran Bush run Obama. Max Keiser, Federal Reserve intends to hire a veteran lobbyist and seeks to counter skepticism in Congress about the central bank's growing power over the U.S. financial system. Now, they tried the mind trick of saying we're above the law, Mount Olympus in the clouds, you mere mortals are down there. Now Congress is becoming contemptuous of the godlike criminal bankers. Now their facade of infallibility and Zeusness is evaporating, and they're now dispatching hordes of minions everywhere. I think we got a chance to literally arrest these bastards. Max Keiser, what say ye?
Well, the thing is, if you audit the Fed...